Hello and welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Stewart, along with my kinfolk, Isaah, and I'm so energetic on a Monday morning. It is Monday, October 27th, 2025. We're a few days out from Halloween, and guess what, fam? Halloween is going to be exciting for a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of costumes out there and people going to parties and things of that sort. Because Halloween is supposed to be a holiday where people can go out and enjoy, kids can go out and trick or treat. So Halloween is coming this Friday. Just make sure you drive carefully and responsibly. And if you're going to be at somewhere where you're going to be, ingesting alcohol, make sure that you get an Uber or Lyft. Don't drive your car because it's pretty dangerous. Even with one glass of alcohol in your system, I wouldn't even risk it if I were you. Happy Monday. The weather here in Los Angeles is overcast. It's getting cold, and we're about 1 week out from daylight savings time, basically rolling the clock back, and it'll get dark earlier. It'll get lighter quicker and the whole 9 yards. We hope everybody's health is in good spirits, and your mental health, physical health, and everything else to all of those people around you. Make sure you hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe, because we've had a really, really big spike in subscriptions. And those subscriptions help the algorithm, help us bring you better content, because we're going to bring you the best we can bring you anyway, no matter what. We got a lot to talk about today, fam. From the weekend, we got some breaking news just from yesterday. So I'll go down the list of a little bit of those things that we'll be talking about today. So we got a whole show filled with good topics today. We want your participation. Make sure that you drop us a line here on YouTube, because we're streaming on YouTube live right now, and we're just so happy to be here. Let me go ahead and open it up and, tell my kinfolk, Isaah, I want to check in on him, see how he's doing. How was Saturday and how was Sunday? How you doing?
Look, see what I'm wearing?
I can see.
That's what's going down. That's what's going down. Man, listen, the 305 did their thing this weekend, DC. The 305 just hammered things away. This is how it's supposed to be. The Canes kick butt and my Dolphins rebound from the freaking gutter. It was just a pleasure, man. I went out to a steakhouse with my two brothers, man. We just laid it down. Ate some good food over there with the salads, the mashed potatoes, and the all kind of different kind of meats at this Brazilian restaurant. And we came back to just relax and watch the Canes just do their thing, because this is what's supposed to be going down, man. It just really tears me to see the fact that, don't you know, in some polls they dropped us to number 10. We was number 9 and they took us to number 10. Ooh, that bothered me. But on a good note, the Canes played well, man. And that goes to show you we had no business losing that Louisville game. We're supposed to be undefeated, man, because nobody ain't going to give us a damn thing. Canes, yeah, the nation. We have to do it ourselves, man. For us to play such a superb game and then freaking flop to 10? Damn, that's bad. But anyway, listen, man, I had a great weekend, man. I hung out with my pops and my brothers, and we enjoyed all of these games. And, it was just a pleasure, man. I had a really good weekend. The weather held up yesterday, but Saturday it rained, man. It rained at the Canes game. It was ugly out there.
Yeah, I could see it raining when I watched some of the game. I watched actually a majority of the game, and it rained. Mm-hmm. And I'll keep saying over and over again, I don't understand. Stephen Ross is a billionaire 10 times over to me, and you can't put something to cover the middle of that stadium up. I mean, have a retractable roof, man. We're in the next century of modern technology, and there shouldn't be any rain coming into that stadium wetting up those fans or those players or that field, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, but that your opinion is well taken. I mean, you don't even could imagine the type of money that he spent to upgrade that facility and not to just close it out altogether. Because what he did is he did us a script tease, man. Because remember, the stadium was fully open and he closed it in. So the majority of the fans actually are underneath. But then you got so much of the field and like some of the really, really expensive seats. This is where you get wet, man. It's just
Absolutely, and
backwards,
that's
but
what I'm saying. It just
yeah.
carries me back to say they did some big time renovations on Hard Rock Stadium, and when they did those renovations, wouldn't you think that there would have been some consideration that the architectural layout of that stadium would have something covering the roof in the middle? It doesn't have to stay that way. You could have modern technology. Once again, you can have it where that roof can be closed during the rain or at night, or it can be open during the summer.
Yes. See, in DC, we love to play on like grass here in the state of Florida. And back in the day, you had to put turf on the field where it's closed in, like the Superdome. They have turf. So you can't grow grass in a facility where it's closed in all the way. But if you have a retractable roof, it just keeps you from getting wet. It's just, man, I'm telling you, and as much as it rains here in South Florida, because the field is soggy like a sponge, man, when it rains real bad, and it holds that water more than you would imagine. And it causes slips, man. And then also, it's not a good thing when fans come in because you can't bring umbrellas in there. You got to be held to those ponchos because the umbrella will stick your neighbor in the side of the head if you bring an umbrella inside the facility. So you can't bring those. But I just don't understand the fact that we didn't close that thing up. But yeah, other than that, bro, I'm so pleased with what happened down in the 305 sports wise. Yes. Yep. And I know you're excited about your Dodgers too, DC.
Oh, well, I'm getting ready to go there with the Dodgers in just a second. I want to give everybody, I want to welcome some of our viewers in, and we got some good viewers here today. We got Mason. What a do, Mason? Welcome. Thanks for joining. And we got Lincoln Chandler. And Lincoln's got some questions we're going to answer today about Marcel Reed from Texas A&M, which I think he's a stud, by the way. And we got some other people that's going to join us. So join us. I'm going to be going back and forth, interacting with you folks. We consider you family. So thank you for joining us on a Monday morning, because we know Mondays are pretty busy. People have to work and everything. And, thank you for coming to and hanging out with us here. I had a good weekend. My weekend was pretty solid. The weather is changing here in Los Angeles, but I'm so happy to be in Los Angeles because the weather here is so different from what you just explained about all that rain that you get during the seasonal rain in Florida and in the Miami area. I grew up in Miami, so I'm very familiar with that rain. And here, it doesn't rain. It doesn't rain technically from all the way from spring on into winter. So we might be getting some rain, seeing some rain in December, January, February, and so on. I feel good. So I'm gonna start talking like Coach Prime. When you feel good, you look good. When you look good, you get paid good. And when you get paid good, I'll have to figure that one out because I don't have it right in the back of my mind.
He wasn't looking good or feeling good this weekend because they got a good whooping.
Yeah, man. They took a whooping, and we'll talk about that because that's just crazy, man. But you know what? Utah is a really solid team, just like BYU and all those teams. So he's got to figure out a way to get the right kind of athletes in there that can go head to head with those athletes on those teams I just mentioned. Because if they don't, he's going to be staring at pretty much. He's going to be staring down everything in the next year or so, the same outcome. And things should get better, not stay the same or get worse. They should get better. And I think if anybody can do it, Coach Prime can do it. I mean, he's got the staff to do it. He's got the resources to do it. He's got Rick George. And Rick George, by the way, is one of my favorite athletic directors in college football. Classy guy. I mean, I'd love to meet Rick George one day. So hopefully me and you'll get an opportunity to go to Boulder next year and we'll watch a game. And we'll meet Prime and his coaching staff, Warren Sapp and Marshall Falk and all those guys. And we'll go over there and see what they got to offer, because that's what we're about. We're going to be talking today, and let me get my list out here. We're going to be talking about that NBA scandal. Najee's not with us today. He's on assignment. He'll be back with us really soon. And when he comes back, we're going to pick his brain on this NBA scandal. The scandal is still unfolding. So if it's unfolding, they have names, they have indicted people, and they have, future actually investigations on what they're going to be doing with this investigation. And who knows who else's name comes in. Allegedly, these people have done these things, have committed these acts or whatever you want to call it, a crime. But until they are convicted, you're innocent until proven guilty. So they got to prove all of that. The government has to prove that, or if it's a state case, they have to prove that as well. So we'll be diving heavily into that today. We're going to be talking about the major breaking news from yesterday, which was Brian Kelly for Notre Dame. Or not, let me rephrase that, Brian Kelly for LSU. Brian Kelly used to coach at Notre Dame, and he went to LSU, and he wanted to parlay into a bigger program, and he did the right thing. I think he accepted the money. He took the money. He took the bag, and he had the resources at this program. Unfortunately, over the years that he was there, it didn't work out for him. And it didn't work out for him is because of the competition level that's in the SEC. SEC alone is one of the best conferences on the planet. Now, I'm pretty sure I'll have people say that, the Big Ten is the best conference on the planet. So, it depends on who you talk to. But I just think football in the South has always been extremely good. I mean, even over the last 3 or 4 decades, it's been extremely good. Some of the best athletes come out of the South. And, with that said, Brian Kelly had everything that he needed to win. He just didn't win. So we'll be talking about him getting terminated yesterday. He's going to be owed over $50 million. And we'll go back to the fact that the boosters don't care how much they owe you. They'll pay you. So we'll talk about that. And beyond that, we'll talk about just scores and college happenings from this weekend in football. And at the bottom line, I think some of the best teams in football are still playing. And you talked about the Canes falling down onto the AP poll. I'm going to pull the AP poll up right here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to talk about, go ahead and hit us up in this chat right here on YouTube. And once I see your chat, I'm going to answer it. And me and Isaah is going to hit it real hard today. We're going to be talking a little bit about a little bit of everything. Who can possibly fill in some of these gaps for these programs and the whole 9 yards. So let's get this party started. Where the party at, Isaah?
Not here. It's been here all week, man. It started Friday night.
It started on Friday night.
Man, I couldn't ask for a better weekend, DC, man. I'm telling you, I really couldn't ask for a better weekend, man, because I was so enthused about what was going on, and for even the Dolphins, man, I kind of said, oh, here we go again, and man, because I just didn't feel the Dolphins was gonna do it, man. But they played like they should have. They played like they should have been playing the entire week, DC, because they played a full game on offense and defense, man, because the Falcons got a pretty damn good defense. But the Dolphins was going up and down and up and down the field. And you know what, sadly, and I didn't even know this, that Tua had not thrown a touchdown in the first quarter all season.
Really?
I mean, listening to what that commentator was saying who had the game, said he hadn't thrown a touchdown in the first quarter all season. And that's bad because we mid-season. But anyway, he made up for it because he threw 2 of them in the first half. So proud of him. I think maybe they forgave him for all that ranting and then that backstabbing and that freaking dry snitching that he did the week before. So I guess they got it together and sat him down and pat him on the head and say, listen, don't do that no more, man. So
that's it.
They got their stuff together. So I'm actually proud of him, super proud of him. Yeah.
Well, it got Mike McDaniel out of the doghouse for 1 week. I mean, until
Shit.
they can evaluate him by the end of the year. And you know what? To be honest with you, I don't see Mike McDaniel as being the principal problem for this team. I just think that there are some other
Man.
variables that's part of some of the demise of this team that actually put them in the position that they're in. Some of the
Yeah.
distractions, some of the things, some of the players that got traded out of there, some of the players that they let get out of there, whether it was a trade or whether they just cut them or whatever. They tend to these teams tend to make decisions based on what they call analytical data now, as opposed to just evaluating a person with your own eyes. When you say that, I mean, you back 30,
Yes.
40 years ago, you just evaluated the person. You saw him in practice. You saw him perform in front of you, and you basically went on that. But now you got all of these analytics, whether it's in football, basketball, any of those major sports, it's always kind of like the analytical factor that's involved in whether a person or coach decides to go on a fourth down or go for it on a fourth and goal and those type of things. They try to look at that statistical data, to say the least.
Well, DC, I mean, as reporters like we are, man, because we report this
We
stuff.
are reporters, yes.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, DC, to be honest with you, I think we're outside looking in, and not just us in general, but the majority of the people that cover these games, such as us and our and other colleagues, man, we're outside looking in. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, as terrible as the Dolphins look in portions of this season, I will tell you, I don't believe that that seat is as hot as people portray with McDaniels, man. I think that Stephen Ross and the rest of the organization, because it starts with him because he's the owner and the head
Absolutely.
guy, but I don't think they're pissed with him. I don't think they're ready to let him go. I think there's so many other variables in this thing, and he's not the one to be getting sliced for it. I don't think they have their scissors out for him to cut him, to get rid of him, to bring somebody new in there, man. Because I really think they genuinely like him, man. Because they could have just done it several weeks ago, because there's things that came out in the media that was trying to marginalize him to the degree where fans start to get their ears, wide open to think that this is what's going on, but it's actually not, man. I don't think they're ready to get rid of him, because a guy who's on a hot seat, a guy who don't have command of the team, and a guy who they don't even respect anymore, the way he coached this game this past weekend show you the potential of what this team can actually be.
Correct.
And it just really was proven this weekend, man, because it was a collective of the team that played well. And what I mean by playing well, we don't know the distractions that they had internally. And it was a soul searching ordeal where Tua went out there and ousted the guys. He ran his damn mouth too much, and they checked him on it. And now it could bring these guys together, because that's what it does with football, because it's that locker room man talk. And it could bring you closer than divide you. So now you got a guy like Tariq is not there anymore, because obviously he was a huge distraction, and now he's not playing. And the next man stepped up, and them guys wasn't dropping balls like they were doing when he was there.
Exactly.
So we don't know what the severity of this thing was, because I don't think they had no intentions at all to get rid of McDaniels. And we'll see how the rest of this season goes. But I think if they continue the level of play like they played this weekend, they can finish a strong half of the season. The next half of the season can be pretty strong, DC. And I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping they can do this, because it just showed you they have the talent level and the potential to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's get into this first topic, and this is breaking news. This is Brian Kelly, the ex-head coach of LSU. He got fired yesterday, and there was rumors swirling around the program that if he didn't change the direction of that program in terms of wins, that they were going to get rid of him. And sure enough, because Isaah and myself, we had a conversation on Saturday, and we were talking about the possibilities that the school was going to terminate him because of the way that they lost to LSU. And, you know, it's like a snowball effect to me. If you think about how a program that size operates, you got that fan base, you know, they have tiers, and I'm going to give it to you in tiers. You have the administrators up top, the top tier. It's like a pie chart. And the administrators and, whether the athletic directors, the president, and the whole 9 yards, people who support the program, boosters, whole 9 yards. They sit at the top of the tier. Then in the middle of that tier, you got the fan base, basically. It sits right there in the middle of that tier. And those are the two most important pieces of the tier, and the most important pieces of the pie, actually, to me. And then you have the media as the lower tier. Some people would say the media belongs in the second tier. I would think that the fan base, to me, has more effect on how a coach is viewed, how a coach is perceived, how a coach's job is being evaluated. Now, the media does all of that too, but here's the three tiers. So you got the administrators, you got the fan base, and then you got the media. So all three of those tiers stopped and said, look, we got to really think about what direction this program is going in, because the players ended up being the ones that play on the field. So the coaches don't play. The coaches teach. The coaches kind of enable people to get the best out of an athlete that the athlete might not even think they have. Am I right, Isaah?
Yeah. Yes,
That's the key right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when a coach is fired and that much money is involved, because they're paying these coaches like crazy now. I mean, you would think a school would step back and say, you know what, we're not going to give this guy all this money to come in here. We're going to give him a decent amount of money, and then we'll see each year how he does. And within that second or third year, if you see progress and if you see a championship pedigree in your program, okay, you give that guy $100 million or whatever you want to give him. But these schools tend to do the opposite. And let me ask you, Isaah, why is that? Why do they give these coaches all this money now to come in and try to turn a program when they're not 100% sure whether the coach is going to turn the program? Can you answer that one for me?
Yes, I can. Dude, this is the sign of the time. It's normal, DC. I mean, any coach that's in that top, let's say the top 10, if you look at any coach in that top 10, DC, they get enormous money from them. I mean, if you're not, you run the ball over to another, school, because that's where it is. That's where that level of pay really is. It's no different in the players as well. You got a top 10 receivers. They're gonna be getting the money, man. The bag is coming to them. So it's a negotiating tactic too. So for instance, look what happened to Lane Kiffin this week.
Right.
Florida coach get clipped. He's get clipped. So then they start tugging at Lane Kiffin. So what's going to happen? The University of Mississippi, Ole Miss said, okay, well, that's the going rate for a high-powered coach, an elite coach, a guy who knows how to win, is a proven winner. This is what's going down. And see, you can't give an excuse for Kelly, because Lane Kiffin is the prime example. No, I'm getting ready to show you is a prime example, because you touched on the fact that he's in a different schedule now. He's in a different league. No. Because you got to remember, Lane Kiffin came from FAU to Ole Miss. So he made a step up just like Kelly did, and he's winning. He's winning consistently as well. So he commands that type of money. And Nick Saban started it all, man. When they started throwing those tens of millions of dollars at Nick Saban, and these guys are all his pedigree. If you look at it, look at Georgia head coach over there. Look, I mean, all
You're
these
talking about
coaches
Kirby Smart, right?
Kirby Smart, all of these guys who's in that top 10 making at least $7 to $10 million a year. So that's the going rate. So then when you don't produce, they have to get rid of you. They take all that stuff in consideration as well, DC, and then they would rather pay him, get him out of there, and try to start fresh with somebody who's going to win. Because the bottom line, they want those BBLs in those damn seats. That's what they want.
Absolutely.
So that's the bottom line, man. Yep. So when you don't have those rear ends in those seats, man, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And because all of that comes together, even with the TV revenue, DC, think about something. You got a team like LSU with the stadium half full, and then here's the guy who's filming the game pan into the stadium and half of the seats are vacant. That don't look well at all, man.
It doesn't.
That's an easy way to take you off the TV where you can lose that TV revenue. So they got to make a move, and that move is to get rid of him. And it also shows you just how much money these colleges are making if they willing to pay a guy out like that. Because there's several schools are still hung with old coaches that they still paying. Florida State is, Texas A&M, they still paying out money. It's just a lot of money. That's even with Florida, they got to pay these guys big, enormous payouts, man. And it just really is shows you how lucrative this game is, man. Yep.
So here's a good one for you. I just pulled up the top 10 college coaches based on this salary. And it looks as though you are spot on with Kirby Smart. He's the highest paid college coach in college football. Ryan Day comes in second at Ohio State. Kirby starts out at 13 million plus. Ryan Day is at 12 million plus. Dabo Swinney for Clemson is number 3 at 11 million plus. Dan Lanning at Oregon is at 11 million. And some change, of course, because of the shoe deals and all of that these people get when they get to these schools. Steve Sarkisian, 10 million plus at number 5. Lincoln Riley at number 6 is 10 million plus. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, is at 7, 10 million plus. And Mike Norvell, Florida State, 8, 10 million plus. Brian Kelly is number 9 at 9.98 million. So, but that doesn't count as other contracts with shoe companies and apparel companies and all of that. And Mark Stoops for Kentucky is at 9 million and some change as well. So when you're in this top 10, guess what? You're going to have to produce. They're not going, they're going to walk you. They're going to show you the door. They're going to 06 you up out of there, because if you don't produce, they're going to 06 you out of there. They're going to short order you out of there. And for a school to invest this much in a person based on what that person's performance has been in the past, it's like a resume. Okay, you coached here, you won X amount of games here. We're going to go ahead and make you this offer. People have to believe that you can do it in order to trust you to do it, in my opinion. That's in any industry. That's in any job. There's jobs where 6-figure jobs or, 7 or 8-figure jobs. They have to trust you enough to say, look, you're this valuable to them to help their organization get to the level that they wanted to get to. And with all of that said, Brian Kelly's, he sits on 313 wins and 108 losses and 2 ties over his entire career at Grand Valley State, Central Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and LSU. And at LSU, he had 34 wins and 14 losses. So with that said, they must have lost confidence that he couldn't get it done for him. When you say that,
Of course. Of course. We're talking about slicing a guy in the season, DC. I mean, if you are saying that we'll just let this guy finish out this year and then we'll be looking to make a change on the following year. When they get rid of you during the season, it's so many variables to it. And I said that earlier. That means they don't respect you. You lost the room. They're frustrated. It's so many things, and they just cannot stand your guts to a certain degree to get rid of you in the mid-season. Because then we're just covering how much the head coach is being paid.
right?
These coordinators are making half a million,
$2-3 million,
$2 million a
easily.
year too,
Yeah.
man. So you can easily be paying a coaching staff up to $25 million for a coaching staff.
That's just the coaching
Up
staff.
to $25 million.
Right.
So you look at the defensive coordinator. What does say, for instance, he's making $3 or $4 million, or at least $2, and then the defensive coordinator is making, and all of these other coaches,
the position coaches. Think about position coaches. They probably making six figures, right?
$500,000 or
yes. 200,000-300,000, or at the lowest end of it, maybe 100 and something thousand, but they at least making that amount of money as a position coach.
Yes, and that's what I'm telling you, man. It's a lucrative sport, man. It's deep pocketed, man, because and it's still DC, and it still make enough money to take care of every other program in sports.
Right.
And take care of the golf and the badminton and all that type of stuff. On top of paying these coaches all this money, man. The travel of the golf team and the badminton team and all the rest of this stuff. And it's just enormous, man. It's just enormous. And I'm so happy even for these kids to get these NIL contracts when you know
all of this money is being circulated around up near the top, right?
These universities, and these kids are getting pimped out, man, and busting their rear end every Saturday to please the school. And the only thing, man, we giving them education. Hell no, that shit don't add up, man. It really don't add up, man, because you got 4 years of this guy's talent being displayed on that field. And then at the end of the year, you just give him a college degree. Come on, man. And the money that you will make off of him, I don't think it'll add up. I'm glad. I'm so thrilled that these guys are getting paid. And they're getting paid well, especially when you're a superstar. When you get that $6 to $7 million in NIL money, that's really a good thing for these kids, man. I'm glad that all came into fruition, because those older guys who played before them, who go out there and bust a knee and cannot even play anymore, or I didn't go out there and get a concussion or tear a rotator cuff, and their career's over and they got nothing out of it. But I mean, some of them don't even graduate, DC, because
and that's the worst part of it. You get that opportunity to get an education, but you bank most of these young men bank most of their future on the fact that they think that they can make it to the NFL and play at the professional level, right?
Yes, because what I was getting ready to say, DC, some of these people who's playing football, they're not even college material academically, man. They just got a really good talent, and maybe they need to put some vocational stuff in these schools where you can come out and be an electrician or a plumber or something like that. Because everybody's not going to be a lawyer or a doctor. They don't just have that brain power for that. But if they can work with their hands and pay them for that stuff and give them a certification to be a plumber or, a journeyman's carpenter or something like that, they need to start doing that, because some of them just not going to graduate unless you push them through some kind of way and you give them some kind of classes where they can pass and you push them through. But then so many of them don't graduate, man. You imagine that? I know plenty of guys who was freaking great football players. Now they driving around on a forklift because they didn't get a degree.
I knew some.
But that school offered them a certification where they could be a licensed journeyman's electrician or something like that. they could make just as much money as being a lawyer because go out and start their own business and hire 10 people to work for them, and then they become wealthy doing that. So that's my attitude for it, because I'm just looking at out for the man who went out there and sacrificed and gave all of his body, soul, and mind to this game and come away empty at the end of it. That really tears me inside to see a person don't make it. I mean, I just even looked at when they were drafting Shedeur Sanders, man. I seen him get clocked all year last year. And for him to get drafted so late where they just turned their back on how talented he was, and now he's not even on the field yet because of all of this other behind the scene crap that's going on with him.
Right.
So you imagine the ones who just did not make it at all, DC. And so
Absolutely.
That's my thought with this. Yeah.
Right. So looks like Brian Kelly, who just got fired yesterday, he was in the 4th season of a 10-year contract. That's a whole nother subject we'll talk about. They sign these people for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever, 10 years. He got a 10-year, $100 million contract. So they must have really been confident of what he did at Notre Dame specifically. Because, he did take Notre Dame to the national championship where they came up short against Alabama. Everybody knew they were going to come up short against Alabama when they played them. They got rid of him based on the decision of that 49-25 home loss to Texas A&M. Basically, that was a 3rd defeat in 4 games, dropping their record to 5-3 overall and 2-3 in SEC play, which means they're out of it. They're not going to be competing for anything other than maybe the Citrus Bowl or whatever kind of bowl, the Doritos Bowl, if they decide to go somewhere like that. But here's the thing. It looks like the NCAA overall, especially these Power 5 teams and especially these top 25 teams, mainly the big money programs, they'll spend over $200 million easily in coaches that's going to be on payroll because they break the contract down into years. To my knowledge, they break the contract down into years. It looks like Brian Kelly will be getting paid from LSU until at least 2031, if that makes sense to everybody. So, if it was me, I would play golf until 2031. Give me my money, just go on and break me off, because they had the confidence that he could do it. He had the confidence that he could do it. Circumstances did not allow him to do it, whether it was, the way he managed the team or the way the players play. One thing is for sure that I've learned over the last 20 years in college football and some pro, the coaches that care about the players, they tend to do better to me. The coaches that you can honestly say that they care about these players' well-being, those players are playing, they'll go for broke for these coaches out on the field. They'll lay it all out on the line. And for the coaches who might not show as much, because there's been coaches in the past that they didn't care one bit about these players. These players were tools for them. These players were springboards for them to get to a higher level to make a bigger contract. And I don't think coaches like that tend to fare well, especially in this day and age with NIL and with the transfer portal and all of those things going on. He was marked by underperformance. And if you got underperformance is going to get you out of there a lot faster than just a rebuild process. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah. DC, just judging off what you mentioned, I'm sitting here thinking about that when you're talking in terms of coaches that really care for these players, man. And I understand that because I played football, and you know that, since I was like 7 years old,
right,
into college, and I recognize those coaches. I mean, even looking at it hindsight right now, I can recognize those coaches who genuinely love these kids and did something for these kids, whether it was in even Little League and Pop Warner or whatever we used to call it back in the day, who really cared about these kids, man. And I'm going to give you a prime example. Just look at what happened to Northwestern High School last year with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater was giving these kids rides home, food after, and they didn't even specify whether it was just during football season. He did it all year round because he knew the situation that these kids was going through at their own household, where their parents wasn't doing well. These kids wasn't eating at all unless they were going to school. That's when they would have their meals. And then, you take a Christmas vacation or spring break, these kids were starving because they didn't have enough food at the house. And that's when you see who cares. And he showed he cares. He put his money where his mouth was, and he was helping these children and these kids and these, student athletes. And that's passion, man. And it's sad that he got slapped across the head with a baseball bat about him doing that. And it was sad, man, because he was showing that he was bringing all his hard work, his resources, and these people come from the same exact community he grew up in, man. And people just see how much folks that don't care. Then you have a guy who does care, and he got chastised for it. So, man, whenever you see any good in a coach, those guys have to be admired, DC.
They do.
Because they're not phony about what they're doing. I know when I was a kid, this game broke up people's family. It broke up marriages. You got a coach that's so in love with his occupation that his wife is just sick of him because he's never home and it never quits. It's never stopped because football season don't end for these coaches, man, especially if you're a college coach. Or, you got to play the game of the season out. Then you got to start recruiting. Then the next thing you know, you got spring practice again where you still trying to groom the next group of kids that's coming into the program. So it's a never-ending process. So I understand it. I admire the passion and the grit that these coaches has to go through. And good thing that some of them getting paid dearly because of it. Because the ones that's getting paid like that, they put their time in, DC, and it's just like a program like ours. We're going that step, that ladder. We're going up the ladder, man, and that's what these coaches has done. They started young. Look at these coaches who are getting paid right now. They're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s because they put all the effort in when they were young adults in their 20s. They got into coaching, and then there it is, all paying off for them. It's all paying off. Absolutely. These guys who's getting rewarded all these enormous monies right now, been doing it for 20, 30 years. And this is the big payday they're getting right now. This is the reward they're getting.
That's
so
right.
When you get candidates, shit, you already put the work in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I'd like to welcome Freebird Tony, my guy, Tony Martinez. Man, we love you on this show, Tony. Thank you for joining us. We're currently talking about Brian Kelly's termination yesterday, which was breaking news. We're going to get into the NBA scandal a little bit after this. So we just been talking about Brian Kelly because Brian Kelly kind of hit LSU and he arrived at LSU with a splash. And when he arrived at LSU, I think he kind of wanted to kind of embed himself into that culture of Louisiana State football. Which, once again, if you're in the SEC, no matter which program you're in, you can be in some of the programs that's not even doing that well. SEC programs, it's like people are, it's like a godsend to people in those regions, in those states. The tailgates, the tailgate parties, and how much these people support these programs. And most of them are state schools, of course. Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi and Louisiana and the whole 9 yards. So when you have that, you have a lot of added pressure on a football coach that comes into an environment like that, because Brian Kelly is from the Midwest. Brian Kelly he's not a Southerner. Not that that matters, because if you can coach, you can coach. It doesn't matter. And he's had a very impressive career over his coaching career. He actually got fired with a winning record. So, I mean, I don't think he will have a problem finding another job at a Power 5 school. He'll get another job. It's just not going to be at LSU. So now the question is, and me and Isaah is going to break this down, who is LSU going to hire that can take the program to where Brian Kelly has taken it now with the current athletes? Who can come in there and replace him and take this program to the next level? Now, Marcus Freeman's name has been mentioned. Trust me, Marcus Freeman ain't that crazy. Marcus Freeman is not crazy. I don't think he's crazy. Do you think he's crazy, Isaah?
Man, Marcus Freeman has a dream job. DC.
Marcus Freeman has a dream job
Yeah.
that Brian Kelly provided for him when he left Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Who would want to leave Notre Dame to go coach at LSU? Now, a lot of people would tell me I'm crazy for saying that. But however, why would Marcus Freeman want to walk into a frying pan with hot grease to coach a program like LSU, which you know within a year they're going to expect the program to be competing for national championships? I don't know who could come in there and do that other than Saban. You think they'll try to recall Saban back? Because Saban won a national championship at LSU. You think they might do that?
No. They probably has done. They probably already reached out to Saban and guys like that. And Saban is not crazy either, man. And Saban is not going back over there. Saban is not looking back. I mean, I've never seen him look back. He's looking forward. And right now, even though he might have that little tingle down his spine to get back out there on that field, Saban has to be having a certain degree of fun right now, man, because you don't have that type of management that you have to do. You got to manage a lot of stuff as a head coach, man, and he's older right now, and things have changed on him with this NIL money and the fact that these guys have jumped ship on you at any given time. You got to remember, Saban is used to plugging in a system where you got a guy who's a freshman, and then the next thing you know, he's going to be look to be able to lead that team in another year. He's not used to a guy who you just groom for 2 years and he jump ship on you and take off. You would have freaking
Saban is usually always in it for the long haul. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's part of his strategy. That was part of his coaching philosophy. Man, when Saban go inside a parent's home and sit down in there, and he's got to be really hot for you to come to your house. Otherwise, he'll send assistants there. And I've known him to go out really hard for these athletes that he really wants, and most of the time he get them. And you bring a guy in, you sell the parents, bring them in. 2 years out, you got them all set for your position to be a starter, and he jumps ships and go to another team. Whew, that's enough to give you a massive heart attack.
Absolutely.
To know that he might be playing against you, and you just taught this guy everything he knows, and he's not starting yet because he's a sophomore or a junior, and you got a guy in front of him, but he hadn't got his turn to start yet. But he's a hell of a player, and he'll start for somebody else. This guy's gone. He would jump ship on you in a heartbeat. So that's the reason why Saban is not getting ready to come back to coaching. I mean, he's making enormous money doing what he's doing right now. He's got all type of businesses going on, commercials all over the place, and he's just a guy who still got his nose stuck right in the middle of this game. So why would you bring the extra added stress? All he got to do is bring a suitcase with him. Now he's a traveling where he's just having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's enjoying his retirement, and this is considered just to be on College game day, and that's only 4 months out of the year. And the rest of the year, he could just travel around, do what he wants to do, go to these different programs. and, just enjoy his life, because for him to jump back
Yeah.
into coaching, it still will be pressure. Not that he cares about the pressure. And we're referring to Nick Saban. Now, here's a good one I have for you. How about this? How about it? I think Brian Daboll from the New York Giants, who's going to be fired at some point, Brian Daboll, LSU should reach out to Brian Daboll right now and see if he's willing to leave the New York Giants before they fire him, because they're going to fire him one way or another, whether it's this season or whether it's next season. Brian Daboll coached under Saban as an offensive coordinator for quite some time. He's a damn good coach, and he did a great job when he was at Alabama. Now, they've mentioned these other names. Like I said, Marcus Freeman would be crazy to even consider it. They've talked about Lane Kiffin as a replacement, possibly
DC,
for
remember this.
Brian Kelly.
Remember this. Freeman is at his alma mater, right?
No,
Isn't
Marcus Freeman played at Ohio State.
Okay, well, you correct me on that. Yeah, but but he's in the best play.
He is in the best job on the planet, I think, for a college football coach.
He is, because think about something. He lobbied for that job, and they gave it to him, and even the kids was lobbying.
The players at Notre Dame love Marcus Freeman to death, and Marcus Freeman's a good coach, because if he wasn't a good coach, he would have been already fired, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
What Brian Kelly built at Notre Dame, he built Notre Dame into a powerhouse. And Marcus Freeman took that, and he took it to the next level, because they were in the national championship, of course, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and they might be back this year, because they haven't lost any games. I mean, since they've lost those first few games, they dropped those first few games. So here's the list of coaches that I pulled up that could possibly replace Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. I mean, at LSU. I don't know why I keep saying Notre Dame. That's just stuck up in the top of my head. But anyway, Lane Kiffin is number one. James Franklin is number two. James Franklin is number two. Matt Campbell from Iowa State is number three. Jeff Brom from Louisville. Now, Jeff Brom from Louisville would be a good choice for him. Jeff Brom can coach. Jeff Brom just helped Louisville pull off that heist against Miami. I call it a heist. Yeah. Yeah. That was a stone cold heist. They come up into Miami and took Miami out like that, So Jeff Brom would definitely be a candidate that LSU would seriously want to consider. And then they're talking about Joe Brady at the Buffalo Bills. Now, Joe Brady used to coach at LSU. He was an assistant coach as part of that 2019 national championship team. So he might get some attention for it. And Jon Sumrall from Tulane, he's done a fantastic job at Tulane. And Kenny Dillingham, young guy, real talented. Kenny Dillingham is an offensive mind. You see what he's done at Arizona State. I think I would suggest, if I was in Kenny Dillingham's ear, to stay at Arizona State. Because if you want to step out of Arizona State, and that's a lot of pressure too, because that's a big program, but you want to step into LSU, you're going to have to come up in there, and you're going to have to hit the ground running. And they don't have any sympathy for these coaches, because they make so much money.
Coach that comes in there, DC,
they gonna get the business, bro, if they don't get it done. You are right?
On the hot seat from the moment you get that first check.
The first day on the job that you sit your rear end down in that office.
That seat is on broil.
Yes.
And so anybody, they're not looking to give you 2 years to turn around a program any longer. You are on the hot seat the moment you enter any school, because they're looking at, I just gave this guy X amount of dollars, and for a program like that, they're looking at the budget, which is going to be anywhere from $7 to $10 million, whoever take this job. And meaning you got to win right away, because anybody who's sitting in those stands, they're not looking at it from our perspectives, because we know how football goes. The only thing they're looking at is a W or L. That's it.
That's
They're
it.
looking at wins and losses. They don't care about where you came from. They don't care about how many players left you. They only care about a win or a loss. That's it. So when you go
Absolutely.
in there and start dropping those losses, man, you gonna have you might as well start calling the moving truck because you out of there.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's revert back a little bit and then we're going to move on to the next topic because we've spent quite a bit of time on this topic, which was, to me, was very important that we talked about it. So we're going to talk and we're going to dive deep into some of these topics because we think it's necessary to bring everything to light of what we think on our perspective end of it. Lane Kiffin is at Mississippi and he's the hottest name in college football right now to replace Brian Kelly and Florida and several other programs. And by the way, if I think Florida State is going to open up, and I'm not 100% sure because they gave Mike Norvell an extra year to turn it, and he has not turned it. But Florida State might be doing Mike Norvell some justice by letting him finish the season out, because a lot of times they're not even like Brian Kelly and James Franklin. Why couldn't they just let these people finish the season out? Can you answer that one?
Well, they actually like him, man. They do like him. I mean, they're not frustrated with him. He's that. Listen, man. He fit the mold of the Florida State coach.
He
The
does.
only
He
thing
does.
but he's losing. That's the only thing.
Well,
They like the way he looks. They like the way he talks. They like the way he carries himself. They love all of that. But he's losing. That's the reason why he's still there, DC. If he was ugly, if he was fat, if he was old, he will be gone.
okay, so here's a little bit of my defense of Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell coached at Memphis State, and then he did a good job at Memphis State. Mike Norvell is a damn good coach, and even if they cut him or lose, he'll find another Power 5 team to coach at too, because he's talented. He's got all the intangibles to be a great coach. He went 13-0 technically and got left out of the national championship to be able to go and play for the national championship in that playoff game, because Jordan Travis, injured his leg. So with all of that said, Mike Norvell is going to be fine. He's going to get roughly upwardly right around $50 million to $50+ million if they decide to part company with him. But that Florida State job to me is the most, if it opens up, it's the most attractive job in college football to me. A lot of people will say Florida, some people will say LSU, but I think that Florida State job, it just has a dynamic to it and it has an aura to it to me, because Bobby Bowden coached there so long. So since that is the case, I think Florida State would be a job that a lot of coaches would be looking at. Now, Florida mentioned Urban Meyer is a possibility of coming back. Now, his name surfaced. I don't know if there's any validity to that. Urban Meyer might take the bait, and he might, if they ask him, but I think, and I'm going to revert back to Brian Dable. I think Brian Dable will fit into any of those programs. It doesn't necessarily have to be LSU. Brian Dable could fit in at Florida. He could fit in at, I would even say, Penn State. I think Brian Dable could coach Penn State up north. I mean, that's just how good he is to me as a coach, as a head coach at the college level, because he's not doing well with the New York Giants, and I got a feeling that he might not make it. So we'll see. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back within 5 minutes, and we're going to continue this stream, and we're going to talk about the NBA, that big scandal on the NBA, and it's a huge mess. I would be shocked to see the NBA survive it, which I think they will, because it's $1 billion plus industry, and they're just too big to fail. They're too big to be brought down to their knees. However, it will set the NBA back from an optics perspective, I think, because if they don't get it together and get this gambling and all of this stuff under control, it's just going to ruin sports in this country. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the NBA. It could be a football. It could be, any other sport. Baseball, you know, the Pete Rose thing that happened back in the 80s, and they never forgave Pete Rose. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, you know, why Cooperstown won't put him in there. Pete Rose deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. He's done. He's got his punishment, and he's overcame that punishment. And then the man passed away. Bless his heart. Pete Rose should be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but that's a whole nother story to talk about in itself. So we're gonna talk about them Dodgers, and we're gonna talk about this NBA. So we will be back shortly. So stay tuned, me and Isaah, and we will be back. We'll see you.